I'm Devins.
I'm David.
I'm Kim.
And I'm Cynthia.
And this is Nexus.
Back to
See,
your
you
roots.
just gave me PTSD from having to break down or set up the classroom.
Right.
And you reach up under there to grab the table to set it up. And the first thing you feel is
It's gone.
Don't buy that. I'm going to go home and make it. And most of the time I do. Like, I will go home. It might not be exactly like that, but I can get you pretty close. And it costs like $20 versus
And then you call it
$600.
alternative.
And then it's art. It's art.
It's
Did you push
alternative.
record?
I did.
Okay.
Okay.
How many unfinished projects do you have at your house right now?
I'm not a big person that does unfinished projects. I start
finish 'em?
something and I can kind of follow them through.
That's commendable.
Do you have a crafting room?
I do. And I'm really big on crickets. Like, when we were talking about the Leadership Academy, I'm like, come on, Kim, we need to make some bags. And come on, we're going to make our t-shirts. And yeah, so I do.
I have a Cricut and a Cameo that I don't use, so I need to come hang out with you.
Oh, yes.
I have tons of vinyl.
I do
have
too.
it all.
You know what? We should have a crafting day up here.
What's a cameo?
The vinyl cutter.
Oh,
And I've even thought about over here at the pawn shop right across the street over here. There's a guy that I follow on Nextdoor. He's always posting cute things, and he has a couple for sale. And I was like, we should get one and buy it I should buy one for the board because we can make so much stuff there.
Why don't we do a self-care day and allow the realtors to come over and learn a new skill?
I would love that. I would love that. I would love just to have like a crafting day or a Pinterest day. I've done that before at my office, like have a day where we all just come together. And a lot of times I'll make kits so that people who aren't crafty, they already have the stuff. They just have to assemble it. I also will like throw a sip and paint thing together in about 5 minutes flat.
I have a heat press at home. We should
do
have
too.
a bring
one
your
too.
Cricut to work day here at the board.
I think that's a beautiful
it.
concept. And, you might have some people that want to like make a vision board, or maybe they want to make a frame for Mother's
Absolutely.
Day.
We should have a Pinterest day.
Pinterest Day. That's kind of cool.
I like
Very
that.
low cost,
Right.
super high engagement.
Yes.
And most of the time, people who have Cricuts and Cameos and who do crafts, we already have an abundance of supplies. So very rarely would you ever have to go out and buy something because we buy it in bulk.
And
Yeah.
it just sits in my garage.
Exactly. We could do some stuff with all that vinyl. I bet I have.
Do you have an Etsy store?
I don't.
We can find somebody to teach us how to set up an Etsy store.
Non-dues revenue.
I know
we
how
could
to
do
set
that.
up an Etsy store.
You
but
do?
Yeah, it's not hard.
I'm telling you, like, I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's very
All
easy.
that stuff for the trade show last year I made.
Mm-hmm.
With the little signs and the, because it was the football thing. And I put our logo on those little Dollar Tree footballs and stuff that we gave away. I made all that.
Yeah, I do. You should see what this girl did for the designer bag bingo for her company. She had like Gucci logos on little tiny trash cans. Like, it was
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah. I love doing stuff like that.
I'm interested. I'm ready to sign up.
I'm going
Gucci does not sponsor us yet.
Yeah.
Yet. Okay. Let me put that on our list. So we're going to have should we call it Pinterest Day or Craft Day, or what should we call it?
Some sort of do-it-yourself type day, a DIY at MSAR.
I don't hate Pinterest Day.
Make
I don't either.
your own
So
We could
Devins,
call it Handicraft Day.
handicraft.
Yeah.
Because we're handy capable.
I was going to make a really important, inappropriate joke. Just now.
What?
There are some things you will have to edit.
I was about to make a really inappropriate joke.
You're going to make your editing job even harder.
Right.
Self-restraint.
Pinterest Day. Like, a lot of people still don't know what Pinterest is, which is just mind-boggling to me because Pinterest is fabulous.
Who are these
It
people?
is.
I don't.
My sister-in-law, T.
Well,
I had to tell her about Pinterest just day before yesterday.
God love her.
Love the ideas that you get from there. Anything, haircuts. I mean, if you're looking at it, there is a whole grid that's out there. For
And I
anything.
really went down that rabbit hole during COVID, because I was sitting at home. I was kind of stuck at home because of my transplant. So I I have a really, I don't go around anything that I can catch. So I really stayed at home during COVID, and I really got on Pinterest and I loved it. I just found yesterday there's like a whole Blackstone grill section with all these recipes for Blackstone grills.
Wow. And we have one that just sits out there on the deck.
And I was like, Will, I'm going to buy some pineapples. We're going to grill those pineapple cups.
The bowls.
The bowls that I paid like $40 at the food truck for down here. I could be making those at home.
Do it yourself.
Yes.
Let's do that.
I like it.
Okay, let's talk about what we would need for that. So, because we got to have power supplies.
Right.
So we need some drop cords, extension cords, something to that effect.
Definitely some power surges. Yeah, definitely
Extension
those.
cords. Some cheap plastic or some type of tablecloth to cover the tables in the training room so we don't get hot glue and that kind of stuff on it.
But they're so nice.
Yeah.
I know. They are very nice.
They're very immaculate. They're fine. Very fine.
Yeah.
Maybe we could like glue sticks or those popsicle sticks to the. We could do decorate your own table day.
Decorate the table and we will leave it that way.
Exactly.
This may sound kind of childish, but who cares? We should take a bunch of Play-Doh and stick it under the tables and emulate people putting gum under the table.
Well, why would we do such?
To take you back to your roots.
Right, that's what
we
I'm
want to take you back to your roots.
You just gave me PTSD from having to break down or set up the classroom, and you reach up under there to grab the table to set it up, and the first thing you feel is gum.
I hate that.
And you know what? I'm thinking there's probably already gum under there. We probably don't have to put Play-Doh.
You know,
I have not seen any gum.
You haven't seen any?
But Georgia MLS doesn't allow you to chew gum or eat any snacks while you're testing in there. So that might be saving us.
Okay.
Yeah, could be. It's not saving the floor, though.
It's not.
Nothing can save that floor.
No.
Okay. So we need table covers. Do we want to make it a day where you can come and do any project you want to on Pinterest, or do we kind of want to give them like a choice of 3? You could come and paint a picture. So we could do canvases where we actually like stencil the picture on there for them, because some people get intimidated about painting because they think they can't draw the picture. So we could have pre-stenciled canvases that people could come in and paint. Mm-hmm. We could do like a bag, like a canvas a bag, like you make your own logo or whatever and put on your bag, where we could have us doing the cricket with the iron-on vinyl, and then we could, press it. I wouldn't want to do too many of those because depending on what their logos and stuff are, that could be that picking with the vinyl.
Right.
That's a timer.
It sounds like you're really talking about like some sort of wellness, health and wellness for realtors, that we could use this, and it could be a series instead of you having, to pick and choose. Mm-hmm. Series 1 is XYZ, series 2 ABC. Oh, okay. The light bulb, do y'all see the eyes?
Yeah.
The light bulb.
Have a mental craft day.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it could be once a month
with wine.
Oh.
So realtors love wine and sips. That's what I was going to say. You get these guys at $5 canvas and a little bottle of Prosecco or a little bottle of Moscato, and they will just go to town. Cynthia Crawford paints. Did you know that?
Yes.
It's beautiful.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
I wouldn't say that mine are beautiful, but it's art, which is subjective.
It is.
Always.
It is.
Art is very subjective.
Right. We just did this at my sister's house. She has a house on the river. Mm-hmm. So we were all down there just, for Memorial Day, and the weather was really bad. So we couldn't go out on the boat, which is what we usually do. So we did a paint your spouse kind of activity, but our numbers were off because one spouse wouldn't do it. And then we had an extra. So we just drew names. So the person that you drew their names, you had to paint them. Oh my God, that's probably why I got banned from TikTok now that I think about it. I bet that was it. I'm going to show you the pictures.
What you put up on TikTok was probably making fun
mildly
of someone.
Offensive.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean,
you can find these. I'll post these pictures on my Facebook So that was one.
Is that a Squidbilly?
This is her
It looks like
holding
one.
her own picture. This is the person who painted her. So
She's
the
Not bad.
it's not bad.
From-
Those who are listening, we have a modification of a stick figure.
Why does she have
She has a little bit more weight on her.
and
It kinda
boobs?
looks like
But yeah,
there's a lot of
cave woman,
boobs
honestly.
there.
Is that a
Yeah.
polka
I
dot
think
one
she's-
piece?
Is
Yeah.
she on the beach?
I'm not
I think
sure.
there is a beach involved.
But wait, let me show you. So this is the one my husband did of my cousin. So this is my cousin, and my husband painted this picture.
Well, it looks like they're in the clouds and they're floating.
I'm
And
like, why is he doing his pants like that?
yeah, you all definitely need to go to Cynthia Brown's Facebook page and check
Can you
out
see?
these.
He's got his hands in his pocket. He's doing
And why
something
does he
weird.
look
And
like,
like
a
That
duck?
looks-
Does he look kind of like a duck?
he's stepping, like he's high stepping. I'm like, why is his legs like? What is he doing?
I think it looks like he's wearing a stormtrooper helmet.
Is he like
It does. Or he's got some type of
clogging
frog
or
face.
something?
Do you all
But it
see,
also
do
looks
you
like
see
a duck,
Darth
though.
Vader and
Yeah.
a duck in there
Yeah.
at the same time?
Vader duck.
Vader
Vader
duck.
duck.
like is he dead? Are those wings?
That's why I was like, look like he's in the
Right.
clouds.
Okay.
So you need to invite your family to the craft day so that they can hone their skills a little bit.
Right.
And for those who are listening, what we're talking about is one of the many ways that we would engage our members and members of the community to do something fun. That's a really
Oh, no,
good
that's
one.
good.
This is
That
my
one's good.
sister and my
That's a good one.
cousin's wife painted this one, and we think this was like the best. It's giving off kind of a Kim Kardashian vibe, right? Or a breakfast at Tiffany's with these big glasses.
Mhm.
But she even put her Magnolia Farms hat on, which I thought
That
was
one's a
very
good one.
creative.
That one's good.
What is Magnolia Farms?
You know, Chip. So this is
Oh, Chip and Joanna?
yeah.
Oh,
Okay. I painted my husband, and I think I'm spot on.
He's probably offended.
I saw some
He's-
scream in that.
he's right.
yeah.
He's-
Yeah.
You know, I've only seen your husband one time.
And
Yeah,
this
same.
looks just like it.
It
doesn't
actually
it?
does look like him.
It
Though. I'm
does,
not even gonna lie.
right?
It actually does look like him. Like Yeah.
Okay.
she's
It's
she's
subjective.
got that one.
It's subjective. And of course, my sister did me. I don't know why my nose is a different color than the rest of my face.
Was it red?
No,
At the time?
this is me. Doesn't my nose look a different color? I'm like, what is that?
Well, your hair's up in the photo,
Right.
Yeah.
but it's down in the painting.
And I will
Right.
I will say that if my sister's listening, she took all of 2 minutes to do hers. She was like the first one done. So I think if she put a little bit more thought into it, my nose might have been a different color.
Your glasses are like way more square and
Right.
broad than that.
Yeah.
But she does have my freckles and my normally large head. She was spot on. So these are the type of things that we do.
But that's great. And
And then-
you made lemonade out of lemons.
We did.
And you enjoyed it.
Absolutely. It was hilarious. And then we had a art showing.
I see.
So we put them up in a gallery style photos, and we had wine and cheese while we sat out there and looked at our art. So see, this is at the pool house. So yeah, in her pool house now, we have an art gallery.
very nice. And you have a memory.
We have a great memory.
Well-
And can you add to it? So, like, are you going to do more stuff?
Absolutely.
We have a huge wall that we need to put stuff on back here.
See, we could have our
Yeah.
own. We could paint something like we could have everybody come in and paint a house. We could just draw on the canvas like a stencil house, and then they come in and decorate it however they want to. Then we could just put them up on our wall, and we could have a wine and cheese art opening, an
Mhm.
art show. What do you think about that? K Fresh?
K Fresh said y'all are planning another event.
Already?
Okay.
Instead of canvases, why don't we just paint the ceiling tiles?
Devins has been on this for a minute.
Yeah.
We do. Okay. That is something definitely we did in the school system. And as a senior,
Mhm.
you were able to do that, paint
Yeah.
a tile, and you
Like
were decorating them.
This
Yes.
type of tile?
Yeah, the
These
ceiling
up here.
tiles.
I've never saw
And they
that.
stayed behind for years
Yeah.
and years and years in the high school.
I love that.
How did they look?
Great. There's
Great.
some great talent.
Yeah.
Really nice. And-
So we would have to pick a room.
We could pick a room or we could just use the building.
Well, I mean, like we would have to pick a room that we're going to put the tiles in, right?
I mean,
I think we should start in here.
Well, here would be a good place to start.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm very I like the white, the clean, the
clean.
modern, simplistic
Yes.
look. That is definitely me.
Well, I mean, yeah, we don't have to do the tiles. That's just a throwaway out there. Just,
You're going to be the one hanging them up.
I mean, if I'm hanging anything up, I'm hanging my own tile up.
Thank you.
You can paint a tile in your office. How about that?
Can I paint a tile in your office?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, he has art on his wall that Malia's kids drew for him and colored.
They are
Yes.
the
So
best.
cute.
Yeah.
They are the best.
They really are.
They came to our committee day and they had their little laptops setting up. We were all in there working for all of our committees. We were trying to get work done. We were planning education classes. We were talking about RPAC. We were talking about all these important things. And you had these, how old are they? One's 4, 5.
Right.
One's 2.
2 and
5, I think.
2 and
Yeah. 2
4
and 5. And they had their little colorful laptops sitting up there, and they were just sitting next to mom until they decided they wanted to watch Gracie's Corner, and then they tried to come back here, and then they had to hang out with Miss Carol for a little while. But it was just so cute. I love those kids.
I do too. Her oldest, so believe it or not, Malia has 5 children.
So do I.
You have 5 children, Kim?
I don't
5.
know that I knew
I
that.
didn't know
have
you
5
had- well,
very
I didn't know
grown
you had
children,
children.
and I have a new bonus son who's 8.
Oh,
So it's 6 in all.
6.
6 grandbabies too.
You have a full house, and I bet you have a full heart, don't you?
Oh,
Yeah.
of course. So
She
my
has to.
oldest will be 37 years old this year.
Wow.
Wow.
37. Yeah. I only have, I have a son, and he's 37 too. I don't have any grandkids. Do you have grandkids yet?
6.
Oh, no, I have none. I'm like, what are we waiting on? Let's procreate somewhere.
They definitely. I mean, I don't think either of you. I didn't even think you were old enough to have
Well,
grandchildren.
See, I
You're so
knew-
youthful.
thank you.
Yes.
I knew Kim had kids.
Mm-hmm.
and
I knew she
you
had kids.
grandkids.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that. But
And-
you don't look old enough to have grandkids.
I
though.
am. Thank you for that.
We
Who
had
is
talked
this
about your
person?
bonus child. And, I have bonus kids too. And I don't even call them bonus kids. They're my kids,
Mhm.
but just like I don't have any grandkids. So with Malia's kids, I'm their Mimi,
Mm-hmm.
and they call me Mimi.
Mimi, I'm a Mimi. I'm
And
not a grandmother.
They
I'm a
get,
Mimi.
and they fill that void for me.
Mhm.
And it's amazing how just if you look for something, you can find something.
Mhm.
So yeah, I've kind of semi-adopted her kids as my own. I don't know how her mother feels about that, but
That's great.
they're mine too. we share.
Grandbabies give you an opportunity for some do-overs.
Yes.
It's a special situation. My grandsons will have twin grandboys, so it's double trouble on all things, and they love to talk. That's all they do is talk. So they wake up talking, they go to bed talking. The last thing one asked me last night, because they spent the night with me, was, what was I cooking for breakfast? Why are you thinking about that right now? So
They always want to know, how old are they?
they just turned 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
That sounds right.
I have an 11-year-old niece, and it's all about, what are we doing tomorrow? What's for dessert tomorrow? And I'm like, dessert? We haven't even had breakfast. Like, she's just all about what the next treat is, always.
And is she the one that you took to the Renaissance Fair?
Yeah, I took them both, the 11 and the 14-year-old. Forgive
Okay.
me, I think she actually is 12. I'm having
Okay.
a brain fart. But yeah, I took them to the Renaissance Fair, and the 14-year-old had a blast. She's really into anime. She's really into different things. Shout out to Georgia Ren Fair. If you haven't had the opportunity to go, it's amazing. Has everybody been to Ren Fair here?
No.
I went, but it was actually pre-COVID before I went. And it was when they first started out in Fairburn. It was just in a field. And I remember these abnormally large turkey legs, which I was like, that's not natural. I'm sorry. That's I have seen a lot of turkeys in my life. That's a full grown man's turkey leg.
Well, most of the turkeys that you eat for Thanksgiving are young.
Yeah.
So they're probably just
Oh,
adult
now
turkeys.
great. They're out there.
Give you something to feel bad about today.
You're eating
Did you need an extra
turkeys.
thing? Yeah. So I was eating an elderly turkey right now. I never had a turkey leg, but I went to Ren Fair a few weeks ago for the first time. One of my friends took me, and then I had to go back. I had to take my brother and my nieces, and it was just the most immersive. Now they have a whole community built. It's called Newcastle.
Mhm.
It's literally a town. It's like a city. And
Is this it?
that's it.
Okay.
And they have reenactors. I watched a guy do like a Houdini. He had chains on and he was locked underwater, and his wife locked him in this thing, and he had to get out before he drowned. And they had Atlanta Fire Department there. They had like paramedics there ready to respond in case this man literally drowned.
Sounds like a typical Saturday night at the Brown house.
That was scary. They had something that's not very PG called the Washing Well Wenches. It's a show about some wenches who are slightly alcoholic.
Some wenches.
It's
Well Wenches.
a hilarious show. So, you know, I thought the whole vibe of the Renaissance Fair would be a little bit more true to time, but it's actually a very progressive place. Like, you'll see a lot of people, you'll see a lot of diversity. You'll see a lot of difference. There's a lot of pride flags. There's a lot of just really progressive, like, because these are people that maybe in other walks of life weren't accepted, and they found a place that they were.
Mm-hmm.
And the characters, man, people are dressing up as Princess Zelda. People are dressing up as Link, One Piece characters, Dragon Ball Z characters. Then you have knights. Like, I saw one guy, it was 97 million degrees outside, and he had all black leather on with chainmail over it. And all you could, like, his head looked like he just dunked it in water.
Right.
I'm like, you are committed to be able to just walk around like that. People are walking around with these 3-foot swords, real swords that are just on them. It's incredible. You can hear some Celtic music, bagpipes.
At one time, there was a place out there that sold hats.
Yeah.
Is it still there?
Yeah. There's a whole store. There's several stores. They're custom crafted leather hats, and they'll run like $200 or $300.
Right.
But they are just the highest quality.
Right.
You can.
I gotta go one day.
They have glass blowers. They have somebody that makes their own, like, they have a blacksmith. They don't do a blacksmith there, but they make their own Damascus steel blades and carve wooden handles and sell them. Like, it's all artisan.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy some cheaper stuff there too, but most of it is all artisan, really high quality things that people do for a living. And so I got the opportunity to talk to somebody who's local to Atlanta, and her son has been a jouster for 10 years. And she lives here in the metro, and he will start at, I think, in California or somewhere from January to October. That's all he does is go around the world or around the nation to Renaissance fairs and compete as a jouster. And she was telling me, like, that horse's name. And she told me there are many times, because they're actually on horses throwing sticks at each other and fighting with real swords. She told me there were many times that she would have to, like, follow an ambulance to Grady because people would get truly hurt. So it was nice to have, like, this insight of, like, this is people's job. It's not like they just do this for fun. There are people who come for just this weekend, but there are also people who travel. This is their job. They're a Renaissance Fair jouster. And I thought that was insane.
Because it's almost like, you remember, like, back in, like, what was it, the 40s through the 60s, there were the carnies, the people that traveled through the carnivals.
This is the same thing.
More modern version. I mean, I know that carnivals still travel, but it's almost like with Ren fairs, there's this, it's sort of a almost historical attraction to it, you know, when it comes to that.
I cannot imagine looking at somebody's resume and their last job being a professional jouster. Can you imagine?
It would be just an actor.
I would be like,
I'm an actor. These are, like, we're talking theater majors.
Right.
I'm just an actor.
That's what I should have did.
That's really interesting that there's this whole genre of different occupations that if you're not in that particular industry, you don't know anything about.
And I'm just thinking back from the high school, of course, all the CTAE courses, and you have drama and you have theater, fine arts and everything. I wonder if they even know that that's a path that you can go into.
A lot of them probably don't. I didn't learn about that because I was in theater when I was in high school. I didn't learn about that until I got into my second year of college, because I ran into a girl who's, if I remember correctly, it was her uncle. Her uncle did things like that. Like, he went to these Renaissance fairs, all types of stuff, and he was trying to get her to be in it. He was a cook or something like that, and he actually made, like, these dishes you would see in, like, Skyrim and different things like that. He actually made them and sold them. They're, like, really good. I did not know that was a thing. And so that's I think that's a big issue with schools nowadays, is that schools don't prepare you for the world. Like,
yes, we do. I'm gonna always stand on. Yes, we do.
Not in a big educational aspect, but in a way like you just said, they don't know that they can take that avenue.
Yes, they do. CTAE prepares you for that, but there's always a battle. CTAE versus gifted classes versus AP versus honors classes.
What is CTAE?
Career Technical Agricultural Education.
Interesting.
And that has, you can graduate with pathways in engineering. At the school where I was at, you could graduate, you could come out of there at 16 years old with a commercial drones pilot's license.
And what school, what school system did you go to, Devins?
Lamar County.
So I was in Tennessee in a very small, those
small
were
towns.
The only thing that I had was you go straight into the workforce, and there weren't even like good programs for, welcome to our education podcast, by the way. There weren't even good programs for, like, now in Bradley County, Tennessee, they have this facility that they've put together to get people start, like, they've got production studios, they've got steel plants, they've got things that kids can start doing as early as 10th grade to go and build that vocational experience. But none of that existed. For me, it was go to college and become an engineer or something, or you can go work at the Piggly Wiggly.
So it has evolved. So it used to be Voc Tech, and Voc Tech always got a bad rap. That was supposedly the path for people who were not qualified or educated enough to go to college.
Or
so
who were poor.
You would always lump them, and Voc Tech just had a bad reputation, and you never wanted to go to that building because that building was for those.
Right. You were going to do woodworking or accounting.
Right.
Or be a hairdresser.
Those things. Cosmetology over there. That's all that was there. And then there was this society norm that college was the next best step. That's the only way you could be successful. Graduate high school, go to college, whatever. But people fail to realize that everything that you complain about is in your CTAE building. Financial literacy is there. Entrepreneurship is there. Business is there. Employability skills is there. Work ethic is, all of that is in your CTAE room. But again, society just wants to paint the picture of you got to go to college to be successful. And look at everybody in this room. I'm pretty sure every one of us has a college degree that we're not using in real estate.
I'm currently using mine. But.
You're using yours? I mean, I have a business degree, but I mean, I didn't have to go to college to be successful in this arena, is what I'm saying.
Right.
But you sit out and you preach it that you have to go to college to be successful. I graduated kids who got $10,000 contracts the day after graduation.
Okay, but what about the areas or districts that did not have that? Until today, I didn't know what CTAE actually was.
Because it's the redhead stepchild of every school. We even say that as CTAE teachers, you want to just throw us kids that you don't want to deal with.
And what school system, what county?
I've been in several. I've been from South Carolina to Georgia, and it's always that term. You know, we're always the redhead stepkids.
Can we take this moment to back up just a little bit and talk about your experience with the education system?
Sure.
So Kim is a member of our education committee here at Metro South, and let's hear about your journey and your passion, because education is like, somehow we've naturally gotten into this conversation. Education is something that you know more about than any of us.
All right. So from a young child, I had a very, very influential person. And every time I tell this story, everybody knows her name is Mama Queen. Mama Queen lived on my street. She was our choir director for youth choir. She was our Sunday school teacher. And then she was a teacher at my high school as well. So there was no way getting around any kind of trouble. I mean, Mama Queen you were going to see her on your street, in your church, at school, wherever. So she was going to tell your parents before you could even get home. Well, she was going to get you, and then she was going to tell your parents, and they're going to get you too. But that's the old way of raising, the true village, of raising children. Yeah. But she was also my business education teacher. And she just had this huge influence on me always. I was a teenage mother. And no matter what, she never put any shame, any blame, or anything on me going through that. I had my child right before going into my senior year, my first child. And I had to start my senior year 2 weeks late than everybody else. I went directly into her class. She pulled me right on. We kept on going I was not even a teen mom. You're going to keep it moving. You're going to college. You're going to do whatever you got to do. And she was always just a huge influence in my life. But since I had a child, I didn't go to college. I went to a technical school, and I love technical schools because, again, it prepares people for the real world or to bridge you into college when you're ready to go there. And so she was always an influence in my life, and I always wanted to be just like her. So I went business, I went industry, I went computer science. I worked for some major companies supporting their computer science departments. But then I always had this calling to be in the school system. So I started working at a technical school. I did financial aid, rose all the way up to a director of financial aid at a private college. So I did that for a number of years. And that's where I started seeing what we were talking about, all these people coming to the college scene just because they were told that's the next best thing to do. You got to go to college to be successful. I would have kids there and you just talk to them. They want to be photographers. Why are you here at a 4-year college?
Right.
I had parents sitting at the financial aid table signing their lives away for parent loans, student loans, all of this. And your child doesn't even want to be in college, but you're signing like a $200,000 loan here.
Right.
For 4 years that you're doing year after year. And so I decided to go back to the high school to try to fix this situation, to head it off. And so in 2008, I left the directorship and I went into the school systems in South Carolina. I worked there for a number of years, and I've always taught these CTAE courses, which is what back in the day was vocational tech. And so although CTAE is across every state, it's CTE in some areas. You might have a different acronym, but it's all the same. So it's the vocational technical classes. So they're in all schools. You might have a small area and you only have small pathways, but they're all there. And it has evolved over the years, and it has gotten to where industries come in and build their workforce from within the building. But again, there's still this huge disconnect between, is CTAE a good path for me? And instead of it being AP, gifted, honors, or CTAE, it should be an and instead of an or. This is where you're going to get in with industry people who come in and teach those kids the real way to get along in the workforce.
Right.
The workforce readiness skills that you need to have. You can graduate high school right now with so many credentials that people who have been in the industry for years don't even have. And so you could have some 12-year-old learning how to do something that most 50-year-olds that don't know how to do it, because it's new technology, it's new ways. Right. We have kids that I have graduated in my entrepreneurship classes that went straight to Indiana University, huge major schools and colleges, and were able to skip the first 2 years of their intro classes because they had those credentials. So it's out there, it's available. Kids get to go and compete, FBLA, HOSA, Skills USA, so many different after school clubs that they can get in and go compete against kids across the nation for a lot of this. So I've been doing it again since 2008. I went from the classroom to being a master teacher leader, from there to being the leader of a college and career academy, to then leaving last year the school system. But education is always going to be in me, and that's why when I came here to MSAR, I joined the education committee here. So,
and at the same exact time in 2023, NAR launched a program, and right now it is an active program to get every high school in the United States to have a realtor go into that high school and let students in 11th and 12th grade know 3 things. One, that there's a career out here called real estate, and you can be a part of it. 2, you have a credit score. How do you take care of it? What can it buy you? And 3, you can be a homeowner. You can be a homeowner as soon as you turn 18 if you do the right things, follow the right steps. That was a huge program that was launched in 2023, and you're an ambassador for that program, are you not?
I am. So for any realtor or real estate agent that is out there that wants to get involved and has a passion for financial literacy, has a passion for this industry that we are in and wanting to draw more kids into it, please go out on NAR's website. Follow that information on how to do that. You will take a course at home, and then you'll get certified to do it. You pick the high schools that you want to go into. Reach out to any teacher that will allow you. And trust me, teachers want you in the building to help bridge the gap between what they're teaching and how you can run with this right out of high school.
Now, NAR is not pushing it as much in light of some of the other things that are going on that we've had to focus on as an industry. So it was called the Inspire Others program. It's not as publicized, but you can definitely reach out to us for more information about that program. And what's the most important thing is that it's so needed in schools for this voice to be heard.
And one of the counties that we serve here at MSAR is Butts County. And I want you to know they have a fantastic vocational school out there. So I have had friends who were receptionists making, $10 an hour that had been at receptionist jobs for years without a raise, go to the VOTEC out there in Butts County and actually go on to be leaders in the community, or, not that they weren't leaders, but they went on to get higher paid positions in county government that have worked their way up. I mean, so I don't discredit VOTEC. I was in a very rural school system growing up, and we had a program where we didn't have a VOTEC at our school, so we had to be bused. So we did half a day high school, and then you would go half a day to VOTEC. To the VOTEC. Of course, one of the drawbacks there is that at that time it was very limited. And oh my gosh, I wish I had had somebody like you, Kim, because can I tell you what my counselor told me? We went in there, and I guess I was in the 10th grade, and we were talking about our career choices and, what we wanted to be and how we wanted to move forward. And she was like, well, Cindy, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to be an anesthesiologist. And she was like, you are going to kill somebody. You cannot do that.
Oh my gosh.
Because I'm dyslexic, so, and everybody knows I have a problem with, she's like, you absolutely cannot do that. She shut that down right then. I was really raised to be a cosmetologist, and I have friends who do that and they love what they do, but because that was what was expected, because I was in a very rural community, and basically as a woman, you were either a homemaker, a nurse, cosmetologist, or a teacher, and so I was raised to be a hairdresser, and I was like, there is absolutely no way I am cutting hair for a living.
So you mentioned Butts County. I just want to point out that we have our Butts County ambassador, Miss President-elect 2024 Realtor of the Year, Kim Freshwater, is in the room. She's all about Butts County, all about Butts Mutts, all about anything going on in Butts County. Obviously, she represents all of our counties, but I think it's awesome to hear a place like Butts County. It's a more rural population to have an awesome program like that. Now, you, Cynthia, were in Alabama?
I was.
As a child? Is that right?
Yes.
Near Boaz?
No, actually, it was on the Alabama-Tennessee line. It's a little town called Ardmore. If you ever go up 65, through Huntsville, you're going up to Nashville, you'll be on 65. And the town actually set right there on the Alabama-Tennessee side. So there's a Ardmore, Alabama. There's a Ardmore, Tennessee. Ardmore, Tennessee was wet. Ardmore, Alabama was dry. So the police used to sit up on the hill and wait for people.
Oh, we're talking about liquor. I was like, the rain?
How did it just rain on that side of the line?
No, they used to
that rain is racist, and it knows it.
And they would just wait for people to come in. But then if you got caught like with a DUI, you didn't like really get a DUI. You would like have to clean up the jail for a month. Like it was very Andy Taylorish there. Very, very rural. No major restaurants or anything while I was there. Of course there is now. It's progressed somewhat, but
I've still never heard of it, and I'm from Tennessee, so
yeah. Well, it's right there. You've probably been through it 100 times.
Is it anywhere near Trenton, Georgia?
No.
Oh, is it closer to Middle Tennessee?
It's closer to Huntsville.
Okay, so that's on
Decatur,
what interstate? What interstate is that on?
65, Highway 65.
Okay.
If you go from here, you go 20 up to Birmingham, take 65 going to Nashville. You run right through
That makes sense because I only dealt with 24 and 75. Yeah. So okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it's like when you go from Alabama into Tennessee, you go right through that town. The big draw for our town was that at the rest stop we had an old rocket ship there, and that was like a huge thing. Like people would come from all over the state to see this old rocket ship. Of course, my sister graduated from university there in Alabama, and she actually retired from NASA. So we're used to the rocket ships and stuff like that. We used to go to NASA all the time, but that was a big draw for our town.
How many listeners just screamed "Roll Tide"?
Roll Tide, Roll Tide.
I screamed it in my head, but not in a good manner.
Oh no,
So
Go dogs. Go dogs.
This is a Georgia-based podcast.
It is a Georgia-based podcast for people who love Roll Tides.
No.
So is the rocket ship still there?
They just recently removed it within the past couple of years.
Why?
It was starting to deteriorate, and it literally stood straight up. Like it wasn't laid down. Like at the, if you go to the Space and Rocket Center, they have them laying down in the front. No, this one stood straight up.
So possibly like a public safety hazard.
Right.
Yes.
Fall.
I can't tell you the things we've done under that rocket ship, but.
Ooh, okay, next. Devin.
Devin.
Where are you from originally, and what's interesting about your hometown?
Nothing.
No,
kidding. So I'm from Barnesville, Georgia. It's about an hour or so south of here.
Where's here?
Morrow,
Georgia.
Morrow, Georgia.
See, I thought that was under the assumption.
No assumptions.
There's no assumptions in this room.
The
You know why? 'Cause
assumptions.
Not everyone's where we are right now, which is
Right.
currently Morrow, Georgia.
Right.
We're talking, so Barnesville, an hour and a half south of Atlanta.
Yeah, roughly.
And Barnesville's kind of weird to me because it's kind of past Griffin, but it's not like Peachtree City type of way. It's like in between. It's like, honestly, until I had to sell a house there, and the first time I went, I was like, where in the name of all that is holy am I at? Like it is rural. Even for me, it's rural.
Yeah, and I remember being in high school and people would move down there and we'd be like, how did you
even
find
find it?
us? Like,
Why are you coming
It's
here?
almost not on the map.
Right.
And it's like, oh, we were just driving through. So you were just driving through and all of a sudden found Barnesville. Like,
Right.
you just happened upon it. But at that time, and when I was in high school, the football team was making a lot of noise. So a lot of people from different states and different things, they were starting to find out about Barnesville. But there's really not much there. Only thing that's there that I find fairly interesting is something that we would have growing up as a kid. We would look forward to it every year, and it's called Buggy Days. It's a little festival, just like, you know how these rural
I know
towns,
exactly what it is. I can actually show you a picture in my phone of me at Buggy Days.
Yeah, and I love Buggy Days because it's
Okay,
you
for
go
those
out.
who have never heard, have you heard of that, David?
I've heard of it because of Miss Carol, but I don't actually know what it is.
So what is that?
So basically, it's a festival. A lot of small towns in the South, they have these different festivals. So in Pike County, there's a town called Molina, and they have Molina Fest. So in Barnesville, we have Buggy Days. So Barnesville started as a buggy town, like horse and buggies and different things like that. So this town sort of almost in the light of Ren Fair, you have a lot of crafters that craft like different things like with wood, and they have necklaces, and it's like this huge outpouring of people that they cook food. You get funnel cakes and different things like that, and you get so many different crafts. You got so much food, but it's a time where everybody's just out, and it's held in the middle of the Barnesville Square. So if you go into Barnesville, you go one way, it takes you 36 directly to Jackson. The other way, it takes you directly to Thomaston, Upson County. And it's in the middle of the square, and right before, it's almost like a 3-day thing. So the first day, Friday, it's mostly like a sort of like evening. Everybody's just setting up. The vendors are there, sort of just setting up, but people are walking out. But Saturday is where the most people will turn out, because you have the parade at like 1-2 o'clock in the afternoon, and everybody's in there. By me, you was in JROTC in high school. I marched in those parades for 3 years, and it's always hot.
Right.
It's always hot, even though it's in the middle of September. But so you have the parade, and then after the parade, you have different things. And then at night, you have, it used to be so interesting. They used to have what's called the pig chase, where
I'm sorry, did you say
What?
pig chase.
And he laughed
Like,
because
on
my
point.
face
Pig.
just
Like,
immediately.
Pig chase. Y'all chase
What?
pigs out there?
Yeah, they used to chase pigs. They stopped doing it because people complained or something. But it would literally be, they would literally oil up a pig, and they would start with age groups. And the children would chase little baby pigs, and adults, they would chase the bigger pigs, and you would run around and try to catch it, and the person that caught it actually got to take it home. Now, what they did with it after, I don't know what they did with them, but yeah.
What's to complain about?
Right.
On
It sounds fun.
Skeeter, have you ever catched a pig? Did you ever?
Skeeter never caught a pig. Skeeter never caught a pig. Skeeter was too busy getting into trouble at that time.
Oh, no.
It's kind of like the Geranium Festival in McDonough at the square, minus the pig.
Yeah. See, they don't have the pig no more.
What's a buggy day without chasing pigs?
Right. So a lot of people were a little upset about it though, because they took it away. Like it was like a highlight event, because it would be held at night, and then they would have fireworks and different things like that. It's just a celebration of the town. But then once they took that away, everybody's like, okay, what do we do now?
Bring back the pig.
You go to a turkey shoot.
Yeah, something.
They do still do turkey shoots down there, don't they?
I don't know. I've never heard of one down there.
Really?
Mm-mm.
I'd be surprised.
I do know they race horses
old
there,
turkeys so they can eat the legs at the
That's
Ren
how
Fair.
the Ren Fair gets its legs. Full circle.
So, David, what about you in your hometown?
What about me? Okay. So I'm from a town called Decatur, Tennessee. Not Georgia.
And not Decatur, Alabama.
It's the opposite of, I don't know anything about Decatur, Alabama, but it's the opposite of Decatur, Georgia. Decatur, Tennessee had about 2,000 residents. It had one stoplight. Now it has 3. They just got their first McDonald's a couple of years ago. Historic courthouse. Lived on a river close to the intersection of 2 rivers. It was very, very rural, very, very country. And that's where I grew up. And I decided I didn't really love that lifestyle. I wanted to be around people that were different from me. I wanted to be around a more diverse group. So I moved to Cleveland, Tennessee when I graduated, which is 45,000 residents. It's very much like McDonough, Georgia. And that's where I got into real estate, started my real estate career, got really involved with my association of realtors, and ultimately led me down the path of executive management in an association. And that's how I got to you in beautiful South Atlanta metro area.
And we're so glad you're here.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
No matter what path brought you to us or how you got here, we are so glad you're here. And Devins too. I'm so glad you didn't catch that pig.
There's no telling where you would have been
I wish I
had you been the pig champion.
Exactly.
I feel like my route here was a very weird route. Very weird route.
So,
but we all get here
yeah,
on different paths, and we all have these different journeys. But isn't it just nice that life brought us all together?
Yeah,
it's beautiful. And there are many of us, and 3 of us in this room who've worked for the same company, and we didn't even know it. We have friends that were mutual, like Glicinia Johnson. What's interesting to me about where I came from, like I look at my graduating class, I organized our 10-year reunion. They all left. Like there's like 1 or 2 people that are still there, but that's one of those places everybody leaves and nobody goes back to. And I'm sure it has its appeal to some people. But I wanted to get as far away from that and as far into a city metro life. And that's one of the reasons I ultimately picked Atlanta.
Right.
I think what's interesting, the 4 of us, just hearing your stories, I'm from a small rural town too. We're all from small towns. I'm from Northeast Georgia. I don't know if you all have ever heard of Toccoa, Georgia.
Oh, yes.
So that's where I'm from. Stevens County, small town, the Band of the Brothers, Currahee Mountain, all of that is that, but very small town as well. So we had the festival, like we have the Harvest Festival, the train comes through, comes through. Everybody just goes up for those things. But it's interesting that every one of us is from this small rural town. But I think what is really, really cool about it is that that's where you got your values, your work ethic, your morals, your character from. And even though you went to larger cities, you still kept what that rural town was able to, instill in you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it is a community like no other. They do have each other's backs in a lot of ways. You do learn a lot of valuable lessons from a small town. I think it was ultimately a good place to grow up. I just wanted more.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
And my father was in the military, so the town that I call home is the place that I lived the longest. But, you know, I was also Little Miss Arbor Day for the state of North Carolina in 1976.
Oh.
Yes, because we were at the Fort Bragg military base there in Fayetteville.
Mm-hmm.
So I lived there. I actually graduated from Medford, Oregon. So it was a culture shock. But I can remember the first time I actually came to Atlanta, where I was old enough to really realize the difference in the town sizes, and going downtown. And I was in a car that had a sunroof, and just looking up at the buildings and being in complete awe, because we had 2-story buildings, and that was like fancy. There was no, you know, skyscrapers or anything like that. And I can just remember being so astounded. I was like, oh, I'm coming back there. I'm going to live there one day. Now I'm like, Butts County looks pretty good. There's a lot of people in Atlanta right now. Traffic. Oh my gosh. You know?
Those no emission regulations are what are looking good to me right now.
That
Right?
was something coming from that small town. My first year out here in Atlanta, I was behind on that. I'm just going to get my tag renewed and everything. And they were like, where's your emissions? What are y'all talking about?
Right.
Some of us are still behind.
Oh,
I'm glad I don't live in Atlanta because I don't have time to do that.
Yeah.
Or the money.
Well, even if you lived here, it's the same.
Right. We still
It's
do it
just
here.
Butts County doesn't have that.
Yeah, Barnesville doesn't
Barnesville
either.
doesn't.
Oh, yeah.
Stevens County
Lamar.
doesn't either.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Well, I know Clayton does. I'm pretty sure Henry requires emissions as
Yeah,
well.
it does. All the metro, all the Atlanta counties.
How did we get into this ad valorem tax situation? Because, man, that'll eat you alive.
Yes. When I went to my sister's just for Memorial Day, I was looking at a car because everybody knows I'm looking to buy a car, and I don't know what I want. So I'm one of those people, I have to look at everything before I buy something. But there was a car there that I liked. And so I have this price in my head, and I'm thinking, okay, if I buy it at this price and I put down a big enough down payment, my payment should be under $500 for a car. He's like, oh, we could get it under $500 if we finance it for 7 years. I'm like, you have got to, people finance cars for 7 years? That's ridiculous.
That's a long time.
That is a long time.
It could last longer than the car. Yeah.
Exactly. The car's probably not even going to last.
You know how much I pay for that car right there?
How much?
I pay $890 a month for that
Get out
car.
of here.
Oh, wow.
It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Now,
That was my house payment.
I have had house notes that were less than 800. No, probably not now. I mean, you
No,
probably can't
no,
get one
heck
now,
no.
but I've had house notes. House payments that were less than $800 a month. And that's not even including your insurance, because you got to have full coverage insurance because it's a brand new car.
Which goes up when you move to Atlanta.
Right.
Yes,
By the
I
way.
found that out too. Just because of my zip code.
It went up $120 a month. I was like, whoa.
I didn't buy
Right.
this house in Huntsville because of the ad valorem taxes. I'm like, I'm putting this amount of this, and it was a large down payment, and you can't get, and he was like, ma'am, it's the taxes. The ad valorem taxes were over $3,000.
Mhm.
Jeez.
That's just not the sales tax for
Right.
Huntsville, just the ad valorem taxes for Georgia.
Mhm.
I'm like, whoa, that little bucket I got out there that's paid for.
It's gonna keep
It's
on
got
trucking.
171,000 miles on. It's looking really good some days.
Yeah,
Keep on
these
trucking.
I've been in the used car game pretty hard my whole life, and I do all the work to all of my vehicles anyway. So I'm like, maybe I'll just replace the engine. Maybe I'll just keep going with this one right
Right.
here.
So you do it all? You're your own?
I can do anything to a
Wow.
vehicle.
See?
I do
I
not
have that
advertise
same-
this to anyone else.
Too late, too late, too
Yeah.
late.
I have the same
I will charge you a premium.
Oh, really?
I've changed transmissions by myself. I've pulled engines. I can do anything on that Tahoe that needs to be done.
Wow. That's a great skill to have.
That is a
It is.
great skill to have.
It's quite painful.
My daddy made sure I could change oil. Now, I
Mhm.
probably couldn't do it now because engines are so much more complicated than they were when I was growing up. But
The
I
oil's
used
the
to
same.
change oil, and I still today can change my own tire. I don't, but I could if I had to.
It's just knowing you could. That's what's
And
important.
I think I could probably put brake pads on with TikTok.
Well, I think Kim Daniel has to leave us, so maybe we want to put a wrap on
and
today's session.
The reason I just thought about that, I've got a 1 o'clock appointment to get my oil changed. And that's why I looked at my clock. I'm like, oops.
I better go change my oil on that car that has 171,000 miles on it too, because I might be driving it for a
Do
while.
you put ducks in your windshield?
I don't. But
Thank you for not.
I do have some, but those are the ones that people have left, and I feel obligated to put them in the windshield.
Yeah,
But
I don't get it.
I don't like.
What are the ducks for?
Yeah, what's that? What's the deal?
It's a
Next time
Jeep
you see a
thing.
Jeep Wrangler or a Jeep Sahara, look in the windshield. I bet the mayor in Jackson does he have ducks in his? It's hard to say. So it's a
Nothing more
duck thing.
manly.
It's
I
like
see them all the
man
time.
with
Hey,
a bunch of rubber ducks in
Masculinity
the
has all sorts of meanings. You know what I mean? So yeah, just a bunch of like rubber ducks. Think cruise ducks.
Right. I have
Mhm.
3.
And I don't know what started it, but I see a bunch of Jeeps with cruise ducks.
Yeah.
Like more
I see 'em
ducks,
all the time.
they're
Yeah.
obstructions to your view for
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
We
I
used
see
to
it all the
wave
time.
at everybody. You know, that was like the Jeep thing. Like if you have a Wrangler, it's almost meant like your Jeep car will get revoked if you don't wave at people. But people don't do that anymore. Now it's all about the ducks. I'm like, I'm not a big duck fan.
My how society falls every single day.
It does. Let's wave at people in Jeeps, y'all.
All right. Well, thank you for having us. Thank you, Kim, for being here.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you, other Kim. Thank you,
Because that girl
Cynthia.
sells real estate.
Hey, Fresh.
Okay, fresh.
Skeeter, take us out of here.
Oh,
You're supposed to sing a song.
Oh, holy no.
Oh my gosh.
Stars are brightly shining.
I was not expecting that. I did not know what you were fixing to belt out there.
I
but
just
it was
heard,
not.
oh.
I just knew it was going to be something Barry Whitish.
Yeah.
I thought you
It was like,
Straight to choral.
are we going oh fudge from
like what?
that was like Christmas Story. Oh fudge. Except I didn't say fudge.
That's hilarious.
Thank
But,
you all. It's been fun.
Yeah. And we thank you all for listening. And we hope you keep it as weird as we do because we're a very weird group, I think.
And
Well,
don't forget
I'm
to
the weird
find us.
Yeah. And
Where
don't
can they
forget to
find us?
find us. You can find us anywhere that you find any podcast, whether you listen to Morbid Network, whatever podcast network you are on. You can find us Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, everywhere. Hell, you can probably even find us on YouTube. And I got to cut that part out, I guess. But
So much
that
for
was
the
Skeeter talking. That was not
Probably
Devin. That was Skeeter
Skeeter,
talking, not Devin. I'm
Skeeter.
sorry. But yeah, you can find us anywhere you find any podcast. We thank you and we hope you all have a wonderful day. We love you.